Okay, you guys might wonder why I've got this running in the background, and really I just wanted to have a discussion around kind of environmental design, and what kind of things you should be creating and what kind of things you don't need to create. And I figured I would just use this as an example, and I've got another one for outdoor environments as well, and what we can kind of take away from it, how things would be made. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm not sure if it will lag or not on the screen there, but press any button to start. I'm pressing any button. There we go. Okay. Let's just, how do I skip? Hold E to skip. Deploy. There we go. All right. Now this might be too dark, but if I have a look at this here, let's just get out of here and actually into the map. I haven't played this for ages. So we're going to take 50 minutes to load. All right. So if I look at this environment here, okay, there's things on the ceiling here that are being repeated. Okay, this whole kind of area is probably a modular bit and I've muted the sound on it. This kind of area is probably a modular bit where they can repeat different components of it and just kind of place them in. So these pipes here themselves could be a component that they just repeat and place in modular. The walls might be modular. I doubt that they've built this whole thing as one model, but rather they've probably got a wall panel that they can repeat and a floor panel that they can repeat. And then stuff like this would be its own little kind of scatter terrain stuff that they can add in. If we go further over here, a lot of this is all lighting as well. So if this was full bright, it wouldn't look as good. We've got some crates here, and then on top of the crates, we've got, if I can get the light to shine there, we've got some grenade models. So these are other things that you need to think about. What are the small little details that you're going to add in? And it would be a good idea to go through a game and actually like identify all the different components. Because just here, in terms of modeling assets, if I don't look at the environment, the things that actually make it interesting are all these little bits around the place. Connor actually sent through a really cool video on how to make pipes like this really easily, rather than trying to model it out and draw a really complex curve, how to actually make it just draw on a surface. And I'll link that video. I thought it was really cool. These little barrels and crates, actually adding them in. Ooh, this has got R-rated now. Okay, then these little barrels, adding them in. And if we look at them, they're actually pretty low poly. We can see that there's not a lot of detail in them. In fact, that probably has about, at max, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's probably got about 20 sides. Okay, so it doesn't have the 32-sided cylinder. It's got about 20. That will just be a flat wall with a texture on it. Okay, we've got these pipes along the top here, all this stuff that makes up this scene. Now, see if I can get into a tighter hallway, just so we can have a look at that. We've got the door frame here, just a thing on the side, stuck into the ground there. More curly pipes. And, okay, so this hallway here. Okay, we've got, let's get rid of these so I can talk. We've got the modular bit on the right, the wall panel. We've got the pipes down the top there. We'll just get rid of these. I don't know if there's grenades or anything. Forgotten how to play. I don't know how to use a sword. Okay, they'll eventually stop coming. We've got the pipes along the top. We've got the modular roof. We've got a light source there. There's not many light sources. If this guy would move, we've got a little light source here, which reflects there. So that's just all to do with the materials and the lighting that's been laid out. So these models here are not too complex, and you can find a video on how to do stuff like this. Now I'm going to quit in a sec and jump into a different game, but you should really be, if you're doing an internal thing, looking at what things are made, because all this kind of stuff here, see, there's the same barrel again, there's the same crate again, there's the same barrel again, twice. The 3 crates, 1, 2, 3, and they've been modeled neatly, but they're not super detailed, but they do add a lot of detail to it. Then you've got walls like this, which are really basic, but when it's in front of something else which has some other stuff behind it, then it makes the level look more detailed. It adds depth to it. This kind of thing here, don't know what it is, but it's quite creative. Now I'm going to quit out of this one, and because I know that some of you are doing some outdoor environmental stuff, and I don't really have any games that I can think of that I've got installed except this. It's an older one, but I'll be able to kind of talk about the environments in here and making an outdoor environment. Oh, by the way, you guys should have a look at my level 2 one. I just demonstrated how to make some really simple rocks and bring them into Godot. Bringing them into Unity is easy, but bringing them into Godot is a little bit harder. And also making like a wall component, okay? So take a look at those as well. I'll just click play on this one. And so this is an outdoor environment. Shouldn't take too long to load. Okay. All right. So outdoor environment. Now what this whole bit here is, ignoring the grass on the ground there, but all of this stuff that we see here with this kind of grassy dirt texture on it, that is like in Unity, that's your Unity terrain. Okay. In Godot, I don't know if there's an equivalent, but this is your really basic terrain thing. However, if it was just to have this on it, it would be really boring. And you'll see those, asset flips on Unity. That's all they are. They're just someone's gone into Unity, they've added this crappy Unity terrain, and they haven't bothered to actually think about how the environment itself is going to work. But then over here we see this rock face, or we see this tree coming out of it. And these have been added in. So if I run up to this, and I can jump onto this rock and so on, and you can see that down here, I think I'm in combat, that's why it's going so slow. Down here, let's get rid of them. Down here we can see where the terrain matches it. This is an older game, that's why the textures are a bit average. But we can see that the terrain here ends, and then the model kind of juts out of it. And if we go down to this one down here, we've actually got a few models all kind of intersecting here. There's a rock texture, there's another rock texture, there may be another rock model, and there may be another one down here as well. I'm probably gonna die in this. Okay, and if we keep going around, you can see that this whole rocky outcrop is probably made up of 5 or 6 different models that have been scaled, rotated, and added to in order to make that rock outcrop. But it all sits on top of the plain terrain. So this here is your plain terrain as well. I wish there was an area where there was just nothing. Well, there is, but it's not anywhere nearby. Okay, and then we've got these trees that kind of jut out of the ground. We've got the water, and it's all combines together. It's not just randomly placed. They've thought about how the player's going to move through it, how everything's going to work together. I'll see if I can just kind of run through and go to another area. So even here, this bridge. So this bridge is a separate model. Okay, it's not too complex. It's just textured nicely. Then we've got the little rocks here. All the trees have been added to that as well. And they thought about how it's all going to lay out. Now, if I go over to this place, we've got down there, that's just your normal kind of Unity land texture, whatever you want to call it. Not land texture, sorry, land model. The basic layout is really low poly, and I can see that if I come down to here, I can see where how sharp it is. It's smooth shaded, so you don't actually see the sharpness of it when you're running around on it, but when you kind of take time to examine it, you can see that it is a fairly low poly model that takes up that land. But then they add extra detail to it, these detail meshes, this rock that juts out here, the one on the other side, and these cliffs here, these kind of sharper drop-offs and this big area over here, they're all the detail meshes that get added to that. So really you shouldn't try to build things in the Unity terrain editor. In fact, you shouldn't need to do that at all. If you use that, that's not going to be assessed. What you're looking at is creating these kind of things if you're doing an outdoor environment. Trees, shrubberies, the rocks, the cliff faces, bridges, those kind of additions that you're going to add. Of course, all based around a theme, but whatever this kind of thing is a big rocky out thing with some temple-y stuff on it. But this would be a separate model. In fact, if I went around this level, I could probably find that particular thing used a few times. I can see that this tree here, these are both the exact same tree. Okay, I can tell because it's got the same bit going up here, but this one is smaller, this one's larger. It's been scaled up. And this one here is probably the same as that one over there. It may just be scaled up a different way, rotated slightly, so it doesn't look identical to it. Like I said on here, I think I said there's probably you should be doing about 30 to 50 different models, but they don't all have to be massive, okay? They don't all have to be massive. You could do some smaller shrubs and stuff, some smaller rocks. And like I said, have a look at the rock one that I did for level 2, because going from Unity to Godot, and I can quit out of here now, I can kind of show you it. So, sorry, Blender to Godot. So there was a wall there, and it looks really shiny in here, but when you bring it into Godot, it doesn't look as shiny unless and you can play around with the settings. And there was a rock as well, pretty low poly rock. I think this has about 400 tries on it, and this has about 500 tries on it, but it looks a lot more detailed. So that video is there for you to watch as well. I still haven't received any real questions. I've got some notifications. People have said, oh, I've turned this in, and that's fine. The planning part's not really due until Friday, and then you're going to start making things anyway. So I'm just kind of giving some ideas out here. But you're all doing different things, so it's really hard to give out some stuff that might be relevant to everyone. I know a few of you are doing the outdoor kind of environments, so I thought I'd talk about that a little bit today. There are some really good websites for this, and I think one is called World of Level Design, and there are tutorials here, but we don't really need those. There's just some discussions. Let's see, where are the discussions on it? Game environment art level design. Okay, so it gives some examples of how to actually do it. You want to look up outdoor level environments and how to build those, or indoor level environments, how to build those. But if you're doing the modular thing, you don't need to worry too much about that. You can have a look at my video from yesterday and see what kind of things you should be doing for working with modular systems, which is working to a grid so that it makes it really easy to work with. Okay, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube. If I actually go to YouTube, and I will bring up, I take it off to the side because I never know what's going to get recommended to me. So I'm recommended to me right now. And if I go to what was I looking at? Environmental design speed. Okay, so we can have a look here. This country road speed design. You had to see kind of how they put things together, and you can see that they're building it out of little meshes. I don't think these guys who are doing just environmental design to show off their skill are probably not going to use the built-in terrain stuff. They're just going to put, oh, he did. Okay, so he's got that built-in terrain, which is behind everything else. But you don't need to worry about that. You're focusing on the modular components of it, and at the end you'd build a demo scene showing what could be done with the things that you have built. But that demo scene is not the main part. The main part is the modular components that you're building. But watching these little speed things and how they go through everything is really cool. It can give you some ideas on what kind of things you could be doing, what kind of things you could be building. how you're thinking about how your things are going to work together. I probably don't need to talk much more today. I think that's enough. But if anyone has any questions, once again, email them through to me. It's difficult to set tasks. I can't just set a task and say, okay, you're all going to do this, when this might not be relevant to your outcome. So it's really just, I want to be responding to you guys. So I want you to take the time to actually email me and ask me questions. Okay, I might put something up on the classroom where you can ask me a question that you might be struggling with, or what you need to do, etc. And thinking about what I can actually help you with. Okay, so I haven't done much stuff on database yet, but what can I help you with? That's what I need to know actually, really is what I can help you with. And I'll finish up there. It's been about 15 minutes. I don't need to talk anymore, and I will see you later.